I'm out at a park right now. Let me show y'all where I'm at. You know, I'm just sitting in the car because really ain't too many places that I could sit without the sun being pretty bright. So I just wanted to come on here today to have an important discussion that needs to be talked about. This is going to be an educational live. It's going to be a little bit of history, um, and it's going to help people, especially chosen ones, with their brain function. Because it's one thing to detox gut health, but it's another thing to detox your bloodstream, right? And so I want to talk about doing a metal detox, and also many other things that are associated with it. So let's start off with this. The most common toxic metal that we are all exposed to is lead. All right. A lot of times, a lot of houses that are built, especially in the United States, if they were built before 1978, there's a high chance that they have lead paint and lead piping. So that house alone is just toxic, right? And this has many effects, including children. We'll talk about that. All right, I got some notes here. It says, where can anyone be exposed to lead? As I said before, houses or apartments built before 1978 have the greatest risk of containing lead-based paint or lead-based water pipes. This increases the risk of high lead levels in the blood. All right. Now the question is, what does lead do? Well, we'll start off what it does to children. All right. We'll talk about what it does to children and what it does to adults, but it's really effective to children because children during the developmental stages, they should not be exposed to toxic metals, but hopefully this message will open your eyes to see what kind of environment that majority of us live in, especially if you live in America. All right. So what does lead do to a child? Even when exposed to small amounts of lead, children may appear inattentive, hyperactive, and irritable. Children with greater lead levels may also have problems with learning, reading, delayed growth, and hearing loss. It can also cause permanent brain damage. Part of the reason why that when a lot of women have some women, I wouldn't say a lot, where some women have children and their children are hyperactive, inattentive, they try to diagnose that child with ADHD and put them on Ritalin, when really the root cause of why the child was acting like that in the first place, because the environment that you placed that child in, because you didn't know. Most of us are not knowing what they do and what kind of poisons we're exposed to. The environment that you were in was more likely had lead in the water, lead in the paint, right? We'll get into that, all right? A lot to detect lead levels. A lot of times they want you to do a blood test. I'm sure they probably have kits out there where you can check your own lead levels now. I'm not sure. Let me know if you find anything. For the women, if you ever had a miscarriage, if you ever had a miscarriage, or the baby was born too early, or the baby weight was low at birth, you had high amounts of lead in your bloodstream. It also causes birth defects, right? This is why some babies are born with smaller prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is the frontal part of your brain that regulates how you understand information, how you process information, right? If you are unaware that your that you have high amounts of toxic metals in your bloodstream. Because, for one, let me tell you, especially if you live in the U.S., they spray things in the sky that contains a lot of borium, aluminum, more likely lead, and many other toxic metals, right? And so for the women, this affects childbirth. This affects miscarriages. Look, from my experience, I knew people in past, and this is not to put their business on Front Street because, you all don't really know these people. But I've seen how the pregnancy was going good, but then all of a sudden, uh, the woman had a miscarriage. And when I look back at the environment that they was living in, those I'm not sure what those are. I can't explain. Some houses I just can't explain. I don't know if they condominiums. I don't know if they just regular apartments. I can't explain, but I can tell that they were pretty old. They were pretty old. Environment plays a huge factor in raising healthy children, believe it or not. You know? And so this is why for the women, if you ever had a miscarriage, if the baby was born with a low weight, or the baby came out too early, that's because you had high amounts of lead in your bloodstream. Toxic metals can affect the birth and the development of the child. This is something to be aware of, right? Let's move on. Ways to detox the lead from the body. There's a thing called chelation therapy. Something I think it's called EDTA. It's like a substance they put in your mouth, and once you swallow it, it's supposed to absorb the toxins, but there's supposed to be side effects to that. Now that's the clinical medical way of getting rid of lead out of your body, right? It says it's given by mouth to bind the lead so that it is excreted in the urine. So when you pee, the lead comes out. It's recommended for children and adults. It's called chelation therapy, all right? If you don't want to go that route, you can also take in lots of vitamin C. Can reduce the damage caused by heavy metal toxins by acting as an antioxidant. Also, another way of helping combat high amounts of metals is the calcium, using calcium and iron to reduce lead absorption. So if I was you all, try to get your calcium game up, try to get your iron game up to combat the levels and see how your brain function improves. The reason why a lot of us end up with Alzheimer's or memory loss, or it's more than just smoking and drinking. We're exposed to toxic metals pretty much on a daily basis. And that right there limits a lot of things. It limits our imagination, our ability to process information, damages our prefrontal cortex, and then wonder why we have a problem in school when we was young paying attention to certain things. They know it was lead poisoning that we was exposed to, you know? Especially if you're in the projects, they say black folks have a higher percentage of exposure due to being in the projects and a lot of those homes being built before 1978. It's like they were strategic for many decades, hundreds of years. It's like hundreds of years before they knew we're going to place them in some communities and we're going to make their houses even toxic. And then their children are going to grow up with all types of syndromes and issues and birth defects. A lot of birth defects and stuff can be counteracted if we identify the toxic metals that are currently present in our reality and how to avoid them so we don't expose ourselves to them, and that way we don't expose our children to them, because that stuff can affect our children's children as well. All right, let's move forward. What foods have lead in them? So before we talked about houses built before 1978. Any house that's built before 1978 has a high chance of having lead in the paint and lead piping for water. All right, and I want to put this out there. tap water is not just the kitchen sink. Tap water is the shower or the bathroom, and tap water is the water hose in your front yard or your backyard. And back in the day, you know, during the summertime, especially in the black community, whenever we was thirsty, we used to grab the water hose and drink out of it. We used to go to the water fountains and drink out of it, not knowing that these places and these, most times, these pipings where the water's coming from contain high levels of lead. Okay, that stuff affects behavior issues, all kinds of stuff. But what foods have lead in them? They say it's mainly found in spices. They've done some research with some of these spices that was shipped from overseas, like turmeric, curry powder, chili powder, 7 spices, and coriander. I personally think they put lead in there, but you can't even trust the turmeric. A lot of the turmeric that you get shipped can have high amounts of lead in them. Same thing with the curry powder, same thing with the chili powder, the 7 spices, the coriander, right? It's also found in imported candies. So if you think getting a candy overseas is safe, there's a high chance they may have tampered with it and put lead in it as well. All right? I think it's called anise seeds. I never heard of that. And dried insects. But most people don't eat dried insects. All right? Also, lead is found in baby food. Gerber. Avoid it. A lot of people are transitioning into making their own baby food. So if you got an infant right now, do not feed them that Gerber stuff. You can find videos out there where they take a magnet, put it underneath a jar of Gerber, and you see like little rock pellets moving around. I'm like, this is what they doing to infants? And then wonder why people grow up with all kinds of syndromes and health issues and mental issues? Because it's in the food. A lot of stuff is being poisoned. It is found in 89% of grape juices for babies. As I said before, be careful with some of these baby juices that's designed for babies. There's lead in it, right? Mixed fruit juices, anything that says mixed fruit, high percent chance of lead. Pear juices for babies, high percent chance for lead. All right. Also, going to school, lead was in pencils before 1978. It was an active ingredient in paint, and it was active in pencils. I don't know if that's true, because I remember when I was in middle school, which was like years ago, like 2006, those times I would use a pencil and I would be writing and I would get like a funny smell to it, and all of a sudden I would get sick. But they say they put graphite in these pencils now. That's what they say they do. But it's like nowadays I can't, like a number 2 pencil, I can't really, I don't know, it's just something about it. It just makes me kind of, my nose runny. It's like my body fights against it. It's just that toxin. But let's go, before I move forward. For those who just joined, let's just go back and re-summarize some of the things that was spoken before. Any house that's built before 1978, this is important to know when your neighborhood was built. You all should find that information. Find out how old your building is that you're currently living in. And then it'll explain why sometimes you feel sick. Sometimes, you have memory fog, brain fog, right? You're tired all the time, right? And wonder why some people get in the old age, they have Alzheimer's, And so any house or apartment that's built before 1978 has a high level of lead in the water and in the paint. They used to put lead in paint. Sorry, y'all. So as I said before, do your research and find out how old your neighborhood is. And just because they say, Oh yeah, our neighborhood it opened up after 1978. Don't trust it, because how is the water making you feel? You know what I'm saying? How's the water making you feel? It's bad enough we're exposed to aluminum because they spray it in the air. We are dealing with, now I'm not saying that bad behavior is inexcusable, but you got to factor in the fact that a lot of people are born in environments that have high toxic metals in them. That's why some people can't regulate their own behavior, because the metal has damaged certain parts of their brain, literally. Some people say, oh, the narcissist has low gray matter. Okay, was the narcissist exposed to high levels of metal? That's another factor. I'm not saying their behavior is excusable, but that's something to look at. You understand? All right. What does lead do to your brain? Let's talk about it. It causes headaches, memory loss, learning disability, behavioral issues, and surprisingly, it causes seizures. I knew some people in the past that they would be walking out of nowhere they just have a seizure. They just drop, boom. And I was like, damn, why does that happen? Here's why. Because wherever they live in at, or wherever they was born in, they was exposed to high levels of lead at such a young age, and it damaged their brain. So when they got older, they started having seizures. Heavy metals, y'all. Heavy metals affect so many people on a daily basis. It's not even funny. And I'm not sure about overseas, but I know here in America, especially in the black community, you will be exposed to high levels of lead. And this is just lead. Like, this live was mainly just focused on lead. This has nothing to do. Or I could have added I could have dove deep into aluminum, cadmium, mercury, right? I could have dove deep into that, because I can do a whole live on mercury, how it's in fishes and stuff, right? That's the main poison that the forces of evil use. So chosen ones, be aware. Some of y'all are parents. Be careful what you expose your children to. Do not let them drink out of the water hose and drink out of a water fountain. And study up on some of these water brands and stuff. Don't let them drink the T.W.T.N.E. Please don't let them drink that. Oh Lord. The last time I drank the T.W.T.N.E, I feel like I was drinking acid. That's how nasty it was. Like, don't feed them that crap. You know? But yes, this is why people end up having seizures, because they have a high amount of lead in their bloodstream. I believe if they do a metal detox, they can um, they can get rid of those seizures. Also, another way you can combat against lead in your bloodstream, there's a thing called activated charcoal. Now, when you all go online and start looking up for activated charcoals, because they'll come in capsules and stuff, look for the right brand. Don't look for just any brand. Do your research on what's the right brand for you. Right? Activated charcoal is a good way of binding the lead and the other metals out of your bloodstream, so that way it'll come out when you pee and when you pretty much do a number two. All right? Your tap water contains high amounts of lead. The tap water is not just the kitchen sink, it's the bathroom, the water hose in your front yard. I do not encourage kids to drink water from a water hose or even a water fountain. Now let's talk about some places, at least in the US, that have high amounts of lead. Flint, Michigan. High amounts of lead. Flint, Michigan is so bad that a lot of times when you go there, you'll see people with bottles of water, like big cases of bottles of water. That's what they use to cook. That's what they use to shower, because their water, their tap water is that bad. Right? Flint, Michigan. High lead levels in the water supply. Extremely high. All right? Other places in the U.S. that have lead poisoning. And this list is huge. I'm going to post the link in the description box so you all can look at the cities and see where your city's at. I just wrote down like maybe 7 or 8 of them. Another city is Washington, D.C. High levels of lead poisoning. Chicago, high levels of lead poisoning. Los Angeles, high levels of lead poisoning. New York, high levels of lead. Detroit, Dallas, Texas. Houston, Texas. Miami, Florida. Atlanta, St. Louis. Denver, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Tampa, Florida. Right? And there's many other that I can name off, but I didn't want to write the whole list. I hope this video has brought awareness to what it is that we're up against. We are consistently, on a daily basis, exposed to high levels of lead, aluminum, a lot of times mercury, right? Cadmium, and arsenic. Then you got others like borium. Like, we're so weighted down, our brain is so weighted down with metals, is that a lot of us, if we don't do the detox now, when we get older, we're gonna have memory issues. You know, some people have speech issues, can't even talk. Metals, man. Metals. You know, there's stories of people. What did I read? Like, people working in factories where they had to deal with lead and they didn't even make it to 40 years old. You know, somebody in Flint, Michigan, kept bathing in the Flint water, and eventually, this person's body couldn't even regulate body temperature, because you know, when it gets cold outside, your body produces heat. When it gets hot outside, you know, your body tells you to find a place to cool down. You know it's bad when your brain stops telling you how to regulate your body temperature, because you're so metaled down, you're so weighed down with metals in your mind, not your, well, in your brain pretty much, and in your bloodstream. So, you know, what's the takeaway for today? We usually do gut cleanses and things like that, which is fine, but never forget to do a metal cleanse, a metal detox, because you'll be surprised how often we are exposed to metals on a daily basis. You put on the AC, you're exposed to metals, right? You use the bathroom to shower and take a bath, you're exposed to metals. And the damage you may think it's not affecting you now, but over time, it will. You know, some people, what they do is they invest in a water filtration system, which I've heard those can be thousands of dollars, but very, very good to have a water filtration system. You know, me, I would take it an even step further. I would get a water filtration system and I would replace all piping and get brand new piping that has no lead in it. You know, I'll find the best metal. I would get copper piping for my house. I would. Some metals are good. Copper, yes. Copper piping. If I could, I'd get gold piping. So water just flow through the pipes. Water flows through gold pipes, not lead pipes, because some metals are good. Other metals are toxic, you know. Let me read the comments, y'all. I'm sorry, I just was on the roll. E-Baby, good to see you. Eva, good to see you. Hey, Adrian, good to see you. What's good, fam? Long time. Hey, long time. Yes, sir. Blessings to our children. Yes. This is how you save the future generation, especially to the women that are pregnant right now. Be careful of your environment. Study how old your neighborhood is. Is it older than 1978? Then there's a high chance then you're exposing yourself and your child to lead. Yes. Right. Y'all like and share. Right. Y'all hit the like button. Subscribe. On this channel, I talk about educational stuff to give awareness. Right. So y'all like and share. Zoe, good to see you. Iron, good info. Hey, for sure. Right brand. Right. Make sure y'all get the right brand of activated charcoal. That can help also. What I can do is I could probably take a picture of the one that I use and post it so you all can use that brand and see how you feel afterwards. Eva says, thank you for the awareness. It's really helpful. Oh, for sure. I'm doing the Most High's work. I'm on the front lines, and I just want to help the chosen ones, those who are on the path to living right and trying to preserve their own souls the right way. I just want y'all to be aware of where you're at and what they do, right? And the side effects of lead and toxic metals. Just research the list of toxic metals. Lead is just one of them. Lead is one of the most common ones. It's very toxic, man. Very toxic. And I just felt like coming on today and talking to you all about it because it's important, y'all. It's important. You says yes, amen. Right. Right. But listen, y'all. I hope this information suits you all well. Use it to your best ability and understand what you can do to improve your health. Also, is to do a metal detox because that right there will help you. It'll help your brain function a lot better once you clean yourself of different metals and things like that. Let me show y'all where I'm at again, so y'all won't just see my face. I'm at a park. It's the sunset out there, and I'm just sitting down with my notes. You know, just helping you all. You know what I'm saying? But I hope y'all enjoyed the message. And as soon as I can, I'm going to come out with another live talking about other things to give awareness to how we can improve our health, how we can improve our spiritual health. And yeah, y'all, it's too much toxins in the world. We have to find ways to combat it. All right. So y'all make sure y'all hit the like button, subscribe for more, and we'll chop it up again next time. All right. I love y'all.